Hi, everybody. Welcome to this Hive talk. Today I've got Hayley with me. All right, Hayley?
Hello, yes, very well, thank you.
Yeah, very good. So we wanted to discuss accountancy. So Hayley's the managing director of our accountancy firm. And probably the big reason for it is we've noticed a really big awakening in dentistry for dentists getting really interested in their finances, which is obviously fantastic for us. It definitely started, kind of 4 years ago with the pandemic, and people started wanting to know about profitability with costs increasing and that type of thing. And now it's much deeper. So people are actually wanting financial control, which again is kind of music to our ears. So we thought it'd be helpful for us to talk a little bit about how the accounting industry generally works as a whole at the start, and then go through the realities of financial control or something to do with that. We often feel like people feel there's like a financial magic wand, and we just want to say this is how we believe it works for you to feel like you're in control of the finances of your business and of your tax position as well. So to start with, I'll just give a bit of an an overview of how the accounting business industry as a whole works at the moment. So it's kind of done a bit like a den plan care list to some degree. So everything's kind of bundled in. You pay a fee, and they essentially are just trying to make sure that you're kind of a stable client. You don't leave. People tend not to switch accountants very much. They will make sure you're compliant for the most part, but it's actually not in an accountancy firm's interest to try and go above and beyond. So in terms of if kind of doing additional tax work, it doesn't add any asset value to that accounting firm. So kind of why would they do it if they're thinking of exiting? But also it actually adds a kind of layer of exposure to the firm as well. So, Hayley, can you elaborate on that a bit, please?
Yeah, so kind of in the when we kind of say tax work, it's not necessarily preparing a tax return because that's kind of compliance, regulatory compliance. It's any sort of additional advisory service, so telling you to kind of take different actions or go and do this or restructure in this way. Broadly speaking, as an accountant, it kind of opens you up to someone saying that was really bad advice, that caused me financial loss, and I'm going to sue you basically. So, and kind of more than that, we're kind of heavily regulated in accountancy, so we need to be kind of really kind of careful about what advice that we're giving. Kind of people kind of make huge financial decisions based on that advice.
Mhm.
So for some accountants, it's kind of a step beyond. Don't want to take that level of risk. I'm just going to kind of retreat back um, and do basic compliance. Really, kind of my comfort zone. And yeah, more understandable.
Yeah, that's it. And I think until recently, that was actually the service that the audience wanted as well. So it was kind of quite straightforward. Even though you might have a massive tax bill, you're probably still really well paid. You're in dentistry. The kind of associate rate in dentistry is fantastic. So that's great, great position. Now things are tighter, margins are slimmer, and actually, as a principal, you might be earning less because the costs might be eating into your associate rate. We don't believe that's the service that you guys want. Essentially, that you want a more
No,
efficient
yeah,
support
definitely
service.
not. I think more and more kind of people used to accept kind of massive tax bills, and maybe it's more of an awareness that there is actually something you can do about it. It's not kind of set in stone as well, but there's definitely more clients are very much more motivated and interested to bring down their tax bills because their home expenditure is going up, everything's more expensive. They want to retain as much cash as they can from their hard-earned money.
Yeah, which is great, and we completely advocate for that. We say all the time that
Mhm.
we don't work for the tax man. Another fact about the account, I probably should say I'm not an accountant, so I kind of have this nice luxurious position where I can just overview how a firm's worked. I've kind of watched it for the past 12 years, see how other firms work, see the clients that onboard us, and kind of see commonalities and areas where hopefully we can do a better job. But essentially, what HMRC did many years ago is outsourced their job to accountants. So your training as an accountant means that you're essentially kind of working for HMRC to some degree. Now, we don't want to work for HMRC. We spend a lot of time working with the team to think about the client first. Now, that is not that we're trying to bend the rules or anything. We want to be 100% compliant. What we're trying to do is figure out the kind of trajectory of a client's career and structure their kind of their finances in a way that optimizes it to get every percentage point of tax saving. So it's quite a hard job for both parties to some degree, but we believe it's worthwhile. There was a minority of dentists that believed it was worthwhile kind of 5+ years ago, but we're certainly kind of seeing a kind of raft of dentists coming to us kind of going, right, what do we do? Which kind of leads us to the next bit that I'm sure you get it in dentistry as well, that patients come asking for something, but actually it's maybe not what they need. So they might say, I want Invisalign. You're going, actually, it'd be easier to do some composite bonding and get you results quicker and easier. So we feel that people might come asking for a budget, or they might ask for, oh, I need monthly management accounts, we need something like this. Not that any of those are bad things, but generally it kind of goes back to a kind of deeper thing, that they're just looking for that control. And we might categorize these things as a bit of a magic wand. So, Hayley, what can you do for me today that kind of sorts everything out in one go? Can you kind of tell us a bit about that from the kind of front line of what that's like?
Yeah, I think it goes back to particularly a lot of our new clients. Their accountants kind of might make the kind of accountancy process kind of quite hidden and like kind of a little dark art that they're doing in the background, and then all of a sudden kind of present them with this massive tax bill. So what the client's really kind of feeling is that they have no visibility, don't really kind of understand what their financial position is. So kind of that's why they might kind of ask for a forecast sometimes, because they kind of want something, some kind of view of the future. Or feel like if they're given a budget, then that's definitely going to mean that they end up with X amount of profit. So we spend a lot of time kind of working with our clients and educating them. So we're very open to communication. We've got kind of a whole onboarding process that we've developed to make sure that clients have got all the tools in place to basically give us financial visibility, so that then we can put plans into place, but communicate with that client. Lots of firms maybe just have a year-end meeting with the partner. We've structured our team so that we have everyone kind of available to ask questions to at any point. Whether you're buying an electric car or moving house, we want people to communicate throughout the year, because whatever's happening in your world, we might be able to make it tax efficient or get a kind of better financial outcome for you. So yeah, that's kind of the main focus for us, is education, so that you understand your financial plan. It gives you visibility, which makes you feel like you're in control. You know exactly what's coming. You know your tax bills, kind of estimates up to kind of 2 years in advance. So yeah, we've kind of developed a system and a way that we work to hopefully give our clients that.
You touched on the fact of having kind of multiple different experts, and it's definitely something that we truly believe in at Hive. In my consultancy world, I don't believe I could advise a business by myself. I do need Ross's input on the kind of commercial and financial side. I do need Luke's input on the marketing side. And then that allows me to actually give more informed advisory, which frankly is required now. It used to be fairly straightforward in dentistry what dental practices had to do to kind of grow and scale and capture a kind of massive asset value. It's just not that simple anymore. So is there a way in the kind of accounting and tax world that how do you kind of systemize people speaking to the right person at the right time? Because I can imagine the traditional model is there's a principal and you speak to the principal and that's what you get. How does it work otherwise?
Yeah, so we've got a few kind of different departments. We've got our kind of zero team that have kind of technical expertise in softwares and things like that. Myself, I've got kind of an area of expertise, chartered accountant, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I know everything about every kind of tax law or anything like that. We've also got a projects department, which is headed up by our chartered tax advisor. We've got yourself and Ross, you have kind of commercial expertise. So we tend to structure it so kind of our practices will have usually myself as a point of contact, but we're very open to kind of, if actually I think you benefit from conversation to start with Simon, our chartered tax advisor, about this, you'll speak to a few different kind of members of the team. So we're all very aware of each other's strengths and areas of expertise, so we can kind of point you to speak to the right person at the right time. So very much not kind of thinking that we know everything and we can give the answers. We want to kind of get the best results for the clients. If that's speaking to someone else, then of course we'll put you in touch with them at the right time.
Yeah, kind of on the dental analogy, it's you see your hygiene for your clean, you see your general dentist for your general dentistry, and if you need some implants, you go and speak to the implantologist. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of how it has informed how we've tried to structure things, to give a much better rounded service. Not that not that it's perfect, but we're really trying to kind of stay on it and improve it and make sure people know
It's
why
always
this is
evolving, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's definitely an area that we're working on and making great progress with. The other thing that I think we hear time and time again, I think, is because the client has to maintain zero. And I kind of get this, to be honest. Like I don't maintain it, but I don't really know what the gap is. Like, isn't it done? Can't you kind of click a button and say, here are the accounts? What
Yeah, and I
comes
think
after that that you're doing?
it's understandable that that's the kind of viewpoint as well, because if you've seen the zero adverts on TV, that's how the software positions itself. So it's an easy to use software that produces your accounts and makes sure kind of all your compliance is dealt with. It's it's not really the case. So Zero is a great tool for what we call bookkeeping. So bookkeeping is basically collating the data into a format. It does have a reporting function that kind of collates the data and then it runs this report, which is a set of accounts basically. However, what us as accountants do is come along, we can look at all that data, we analyze it, and then we apply our knowledge of current tax law. There's accounting standards, there's Companies House, all sorts of kind of regulations that need to be adhered to. And basically, we apply all of that, we shuffle everything around, and then we also calculate a taxable profit. So Zero will produce a set of accounts that HMRC have different rules for how things are treated. So that's why when we do your accounts, we have your accounting profit will never match your taxable profit, because there's all sorts of adjustments that need to be made, but all sorts of opportunities that can be harnessed as well. So there are allowances that we know about. So we apply all of those and our expertise to that data, to make sure, firstly, that you're fully tax optimized, but also obviously that you're compliant. So yeah, I can see why kind of people go, I've done my data, I've got my profit and loss. Kind of what input are you guys having? Yeah, a huge level of not only making sure that you're not committing fraud, but also making sure that you kind of tens and twenties of thousands of tax savings that we could make for you each year.
Yeah, we started an initiative a couple of years ago, I think, of kind of saying we want everyone's zero to be fully up to date all of the time. So we're putting it, and we've made huge progress with it. So we kind of don't mind who does it. If you do it, if we do it, if an outsourcer does it, we kind of don't care. It just needs to be up to date. Otherwise, we don't have the platform to do our job well. I'm definitely kind of looking at it from a tax saving point of view, and kind of selfishly from a consultancy point of view. If I've got real time data, it's absolutely transformational for the advice that we can give as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's the same as anything, same as a CRM, same as WhatsApp. It's a great tool, but you have to
It's a
use it.
great tool, yeah, but it only goes so far.
Yeah. So we put huge emphasis on communication at Hive. How, well, I suppose it's communication and education. So we really believe that for you to get the best result financially, you kind of have to know a bit about what you're doing. So we've sometimes thought about it that if you're a movie star in Hollywood and you're preparing for your next role in a film, the studio might kind of hire a personal trainer to follow you around, make sure that you're getting the appropriate amount of steps, doing exercise. They might hire a personal chef to make sure your calories are low enough and you're eating the right diet. And they might, just make sure that you're not going out on nights and kind of take away all the decision making from you to guarantee that in 3 months' time you look fantastic on the silver screen. We can't do that. We certainly can't do that service, and we're not aware of anyone that can. But what we aim to do is to kind of create the conditions where you can understand what the right things are to do, why you need to do them, and kind of remove the friction for you to do them. So, can you elaborate on that a bit, Hayley?
Yes. So from a kind of financial perspective, I can't kind of magic wand, and if you've had massive tax bills and kind of say, yeah, I can limit your tax bill to, I don't know, 10,000. But what I can do is say, kind of do all the kind of maths behind it and say, okay, if you need X amount of money, if you restructure in this way, I can make sure that you have that left in your pocket, but it will kind of cost you this amount in tax. Or I could give you option two. If actually you have this amount in your pocket, then it's going to cost you this amount in tax. So I can kind of take away all the um, uh, financial fog, I guess, and
Yeah.
kind of put things in real terms for you. But that will also on your end mean that you have to kind of put things in place like, I can't give you any of this advice if there's no zero up to date.
Hmm.
It won't help you with that tax bill if we agree a plan that you're going to extract this amount from the business at this regularity, but then actually you kind of double that. I can then help you if things go wrong, but it kind of that's why we're so keen on the kind of communication and education, because if someone realizes the implications of what they're doing in the moment, it means that actually they can raise a hand and we can do something about it. Whereas if no one's ever kind of told you, if you do this, it will mean this in 6 months' time,
Hmm.
that's obviously not helpful for you.
Yeah, that it's it's funny. It's kind of like Ross. It's difficult to get a straight answer from him, but there's a good reason for that. That it's difficult to give a straight answer until all the information's in place.
Yeah,
The only like categorical that I can, it's not categorical. The only advice that's right 95% of the time is if you're a dentist or have a dental business, you should be incorporated. So that's the kind of only magic-ish wand we've got. But it's only a magic wand if you use that as a platform to kind of integrate with your life and your expenditure, and
yeah,
then start to get the percentage points. So yeah, if there's one kind of like thing you can take away to do right away, if you're not already, it's incorporate. But you do need to work on actually what the financial strategy is from that point forward, because otherwise, if you're self-employed, you just pay the maximum amount of tax. That's all it means. There's no opportunity for any mitigation.
yeah, exactly. Kind of that. Well, being a limited company did used to be that magic wand. It was a no-brainer. So it would
Yeah.
definitely always save you tax. But HMRC have, they've turned the screw on that a lot over the last 5 to 8 years, probably.
Mhm.
But there's still plenty of opportunity, but you just have to be much more engaged and structure and use your company in a certain way to kind of get those tax points now. But
Yeah, and we've just had a general election announced as well, so that could make the tax landscape even tighter, which I suspect will mean you have to be even smarter and even more focused on mitigating as much taxes as possible. How long can someone expect for it to take? So we're saying they can't join us and we press a button and then bang, financial control, tax sorted. How long does it take, and what does the process look like to get someone financially fit?
so we have, this is an area we spent a lot of focus on basically. So we have developed our call it our onboarding process. So that has certain elements of certain compliance elements that we have to go through, that we have kind of a dedicated team and try to make it as easy as possible for clients to kind of undergo that.
Mhm.
Um, then we go through a process of making sure that all the tools are in place.
Mhm.
So we install Zero, we give training, we help get data up to date, we gather information from yourself on kind of what do you need in your pocket, what's going on in your kind of personal world. Every client obviously has their own kind of different circumstances, so spend a bit of time kind of getting to know those together and design a bespoke. We call it kind of a tax plan. It will look different for each client, and we'll make kind of various recommendations on what you can do. We also do a full review on your kind of previous historic information. Um, Unfortunately, we kind of get clients that have had awful advice a lot of the time, or they might even not realise they've had bad
Mhm.
advice because they get presented with that set of accounts. And I have seen clients have that zero report that that I kind of just said, you can't just run a report from zero and call it profit and loss. Some accountants have kind of done that. So we'll do a full review of the kind of situation, make sure everything's kind of tipped off and okay. And that process of onboarding, so to get you from kind of raising your hand saying yes, I want to join you, to you kind of having full kind of financial visibility, a tax plan and zero in place, can take kind of between 3 and 6 months.
Hmm.
There is a lot of work and a lot of communication that kind of goes along during that period. But yeah, as I said, we've kind of developed a whole team around that to try and make it as painless for the client as possible.
It's kind of like a diagnostic exercise in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. We're doing a lot of fact finding where there's usually kind of some hurdles to get over. Yeah, each client will have a different pain point. So we're kind of focusing on that and trying to overcome that. Yeah, it might be high tax bills. It might be don't know how much they're drawing from their business. It might be that they've got no visibility over anything at all. Or it might be that they've come to us because they want to exit in kind of 5 years and they're like, what do we do? Where do we go from now? So yeah, every person's circumstances are different.
So kind of in that 3 to 6 month window, they'll have peace of mind that they're legal, that they're compliant, which isn't always the case. And they'll have clarity over what comes next, I guess. Is that?
Yeah, clarity. We try to provide kind of tax estimates, kind of up to 1 to 2 years in advance, and that'll be an estimate of kind of where they are at the moment, but also any opportunities. So we try to recommend, obviously, quickly any easy wins, but any kind of longer term strategies we'll raise at that point as well. So it's a little bit of a kind of getting to know period, and yeah, collating everything to make sure we've got the platform then to move forward.
Cool. So finally, what are the main reasons why people don't switch to Hive if they don't?
Um, I think it's some of it's to do with the relationship with the accountant. So you find time and time again, even though they kind of know that the accountant's done a bad job, they've kind of got a relationship with them, and it's a bit awkward for them to kind of have that conversation and leave. So I think that is a bit of a blocker for some people, the kind of personal side of things and the relationship. Um, Also, I think it might feel like a lot of administration. It's kind of that thing
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I want to do it, but really busy right now, and I'll kind of think about it in 6 months' time, which then kind of turns into 1 to 2 to 3, 4 years sometimes. Um, but yeah, kind of reiterate that it's not as painful as you might think it might be. We kind of got
Oh,
as
we've got a stat, haven't we? So it used to, our average sign up used to be 6 months to a year, in some cases 4 years, just because it's a lot. It felt like a lot of work to do and kind of communicate with the client. The other accountant gets involved. Now our average sign up is it like 30 days or something?
yeah, 28 days.
Yeah. So
And
that's
that's average. We've had clients that have kind of signed up to our services. We've had a call with them in the morning, and it's kind of been an hour for them to sign our proposal. We can really easily get that, understand your needs, get the proposal out to you. It's all automated. You can kind of sign the contract, set up payment, and we can get going with the onboarding kind of straight away then.
Mhm. I heard a new one on Friday that I didn't know that, but it made absolute sense when I heard it that there's a fear of some people that switching accountants triggers a HMRC kind of investigation or triggers their attention. And I was thinking that might be like kind of with if you do anything, the GDC kind of gets interested and CQC, sorry, the CQC gets interested in the practice, and maybe that's the analogy there. Whereas that's just not the case. If you switch account, nothing changes.
No, I don't think. Yeah, so we get authorization. That's the only kind of way that they know you've switched accountant. But switching accountant wouldn't spark kind of any interest from HMRC. It's very normal. They would deal with it a lot of the time. So yeah, shouldn't should if you are concerned about that, it shouldn't be a concern.
Yeah, and the awkwardness about telling someone that you've probably got quite a long relationship with. Can you help with any of that, Haley? Take it off their plate.
We you have to tell them we can provide you with a kind of template letter that
Yeah.
you can kind of just send an email and the template letter, and it's kind of all done. Yeah, it does kind of have to come from you, but once you've done that conversation, we then kind of swoop in. You don't have to kind of go and get your information from them.
Mhm.
We You tell them that you're switching to us, and we kind of contact them directly. So that's kind of that all conversation is kind of where it ends really. We then kind of request all your backdated information from them. And if there's any queries with them, we can kind of liaise directly. So yeah, can't help with the awkward bit, but once that plasters off, then yeah, it's all over to us.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's great, Haley.
And from the side of an accountant that have had clients kind of move on, no one really takes it personally. So yeah, you might feel like it's awkward,
Yeah.
but it probably won't be.
No, it won't be. But yeah, no, that's great. Well, thanks, Haley. Hopefully, that's helpful for people to know what it looks like to get financially fit. what the process might be, that it's not a kind of panacea. It is a process and a collaboration, but one that we're aware of and trying to do everything to aid and go as smoothly as possible. But yeah, if anyone wants to make contact, speak with us, speak with Hayley about what we can do for you, let us know, drop us a line, and hopefully speak with you soon.
Thank you. Bye bye.